Guys, we're back out here for day 2 in the Scania factory. The truck will be completely built today, fingers crossed, but we're here on the drivetrain line where the axles get mounted and connected together and then they slide under the truck. But we found an associate here at Scania, Tim here, who's been watching my channel since 2021, which is wild. So what do you do here, Tim, exactly?
We pre-mount the back axles to mount on the chassis later.
Okay.
Because it's coming in we're starting in the corner there.
Yep.
And then the axles is coming in, and then we're pre-mounting it. So all the parts that you have to have.
Okay. So all
like
airbags and leaf springs.
and the shafts.
Okay. So these are the axles that are going in our truck that's going to the USA. Is that exciting to hear?
I think it's very exciting because you have. I followed you when you first got your first truck in Canada.
Ah, yeah.
And you told that it's nearly impossible to get a new Scania in the States.
Now look at us.
Yeah, and now you're here.
Yeah.
So,
pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And yesterday I saw a blue chassis. I think that must be Bruce's.
Yeah.
Blue. No. You got a black one.
Yeah, we went with the black but blue cab. So these are the 6x4 configuration axles, and this is a lift axle. So we've seen earlier where the airbags are going to mount to the frame, and this whole axle just picks right up, huh?
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. So something that's really unique Scania offers is where you can order the hubs painted to match the cab.
Yeah, you can get almost any color you want.
And that looks really nice.
Yeah.
Really, really nice. So how long have you been working for Scania?
12 years.
Okay.
I started at the foundry, the old foundry. Now we have a new.
Matthias has to take me to go see the foundry one day.
Yeah.
I've been almost everywhere but the foundry. So, well, thank you. It was nice meeting you today.
Yeah, same. Really works well when.
So check this out, guys. These axle stations hover on air. They're like hoverboards. So they air them up. That's why we have these air lines that go up into the ceiling, and they just press a lever, and then they pick her up, and they hover around on all these floors here to move around. But looking at these axles, man, these things are really, really beefy. Like, these remind me of like a 46,000 pound set of axles for an American truck. But something I want to point out is these are locking rear, so fully locking rear axles. We've got the power divider right here. Really, really just heavy duty, crazy heavy duty stuff. So the only thing that worries me a little bit is the weight of this truck compared to an American truck, but the capacity is much, much higher. So something to point out. But disc brakes, painted hubs. I mean, wow, these are going to look so good. You know, from the factory paint, it's just absolutely incredible. So right now, guys, you see where we just have the axles that are getting prepped. Our chassis is currently in the quality control section where all of the air piping has been installed in the chassis. All of the air tanks have been installed, and they have a quality gate where there's one single person that goes over and checks to make sure every single airline has been connected to the right spot. All the connections are perfect and secure, and to make sure they're all connected in the right spot. So a really important stage that happens on the assembly line here, and this is something that happens at every so often. I think every like 1/3 of the way through the assembly, there's a quality control check. So instead of waiting till the very end where you cannot get to anything, where there's like everything's covered up, bolted on, they have a check every so often down the assembly line to make sure everything's in tip-top shape. So let's look at the chassis right quick. You guys can see what all has going on since yesterday's video. And then the shocks will be going on next, and a few other things, and then the axles going. So as you can see, we've got 1, 2, 3 air tanks installed, and there's going to be a couple air tanks that go in between the axles. So because I ordered this truck with big fuel tanks for the American market, it's kind of had to move some air tanks around and stuff. So, but everything is in here. Air tanks are all completely mounted, but these are painted, beautifully painted black air tanks. I mean, guys, you have to admire and comment and let me know what you think of the frame paint. I mean, once this stuff is seen in person in the US, it's going to be an absolute game changer. I mean, just the quality of the paint is just so So freaking nice. So, all right, so we've got some shocks going on the chassis here. They're going to install the shocks, and I've seen them kind of flip them up out of the way. So getting super interesting here. There's some other little pieces being added right here, like small fender brackets are being bolted on there. Something I want to point out is just how long these shocks are. Like, these things are like crazy long. So when the air suspension overinflates, there's plenty of room for these shocks to do their job. So I think that's really cool, something to point out there. Just having to move some airlines out of the way. So all the shocks are going to get pre-installed, and they're going to move up to the next part of the assembly line right here where the axles go under the truck. Really, really cool. Party time, guys. The frames are moving once again. The axles are about to slide underneath this thing via hoverboards. It's so sick. They're going to slide right underneath this thing. I've got a GoPro running here. We're going to time lapse these things getting installed, but they're going to slide right under here on these hovercraft that they're air powered. You're going to see right here, these things are going to pick right up, and they're going to slide right in there. They got the prop shaft already, the drive shaft in there ready to go. And they're going to push them right in here, and it's so crazy. It's like old technology, but it still works. They said this is maybe some of the oldest technology in the factory, actually, so really, really cool. So there they go, big axle assemblies. There's so many things that have to line up between all the axle bushings, bolts, and fittings, and we've got the lift axle airbags up there that have to line up perfectly. All kinds of stuff happening right here. This is like one of the coolest parts, I think, that happens on the assembly line. Look at that. Even have a machine to pick up the prop shaft there. That's really cool. So they're going to pick these axles up and line up the bolt holes in the front here. Look at that. Check that out. That's really cool. What's strange to me is like how there's no adjustment right here. So I don't know if these things are like perfectly aligned already, but they have something figured out, unlike in the US where we have alignment bushings right here on the front of these leaf springs. So front axle, they've got some bolts going in this thing, and then the rear axle will go in next. I don't know how much our GoPro's seeing now that there's just an axle right in the way, but still pretty cool. There you have it, a not very common 6x4 axle configuration. This is something you don't typically see on Scania trucks. So rear axles are pretty much in the truck completely. There's a front axle going to go in next, but there's some people on the next part of the assembly line that asked to not be filmed, so I'm not sure if we're going to get that covered. But I do wish I would have paid attention in the specs and ordered the axles to be painted black, but I think it is what it is. It's going to look good. You're not really going to see these axles behind there anyways if they're painted gray. So lots of very specific tools that are made for tightening everything up. Lots of tools hanging from the ceiling that are just ready to go in there at a moment's notice. Special tool for tightening shocks. There's another one right there that has a wrench installed on it also. So these are really quiet too for air tools. Something else to point out. So they're letting that axle down. All the airbags are clipped in place. And now they're going to put these front bolts in everything. Shocks are all bolted up. Got some, looks like alignment tools there to get these bolts in. That's really cool. So these guys know all the tricks right here for their specific spot on the line. There's something really cool to point out is how these airbags are clipped in with clips. So they're easy to replace. I really like that idea. All right, check this tool out. So this thing is a pneumatic cylinder that's going to go right in there in between these bolts, and it's going to push them outward right into where they need to go. So that eliminates these guys having to get in there and use a hammer to do anything. And you're about to see it's going to push that other axle right here. So then make a small minor adjustment to get that bolt lined up a little bit better, but when it is perfectly aligned, everything goes perfect, but everything doesn't always go perfect everywhere. So it's going to continue to push that bolt right through, and then they're going to get a nut put on the back side of it right here in just a second. There it is, right there. Boom. Pretty slick. So right up here in the top, the main airbags and the whole system here for lifting this axle up. Everything's getting installed. All the airlines are being connected. I'm trying to stay out of everyone's way right now too, guys. So not sure what he's checking there, but he's checking something there. So lots of stuff happening. There's so much work to get done on this part of the assembly line. And they have 36 seconds on the tack time up there to complete installing these axles. So when you have 2 drive axles, there's a lot going on. It's crazy because the same amount of time is what they're given to install, like say, an 8x8, which you'd have 2 drive axles and 2 steer axles that are also powered. So tightening up those airbags in there now, and they're going to hook all the airlines to it next. So we just got back from having some Swedish fika, which is like a coffee break, snack, bread break. First lunch I had because we were up here at 7 o'clock this morning, but something I want to point out is the difference in chassis on this assembly line, because we have 3 pretty dang different chassis right here flowing down the assembly line. I want to show you guys. So right here in front of me, we've got a 4x2, so you have non-driven front axle, obviously, and you have a driven rear axle, but look how short this truck is. I mean, you have just enough that the cab is going to stop right here where those mounts are, right? And then you have fuel tanks, and then right here is the rear axle, and this is considered obviously a semi-truck, heavy-duty truck. Right up there, you've got a chassis that's being dropped down onto some other machines there, and once that thing sits down, it's going to slide over and then go over here to another side of the assembly line where we'll be at eventually. But that right there is a 6x4 configuration. So you have 1 drive axle, a rear double bogie, and then a steering axle. So completely different truck there, completely different truck here. And then right here, you've got a 6x4 truck right here, but you have a single bogie on the back there. So very different trucks. And then our other truck coming down the assembly line further down there is a 6x4. So very, very different configurations. Very long prop shaft there too. So right here, guys, on this next part of the assembly line, we've got some folks over here I can't film, but there is a robot here that comes out of the battery factory over here, right, where batteries are assembled and put together, and they travel on this piece right here, and they come over here underneath where their frame is set down, and these are big battery packs you see right here for the battery electric truck, to where they sets down on it, they're bolted up. They use these special tools to torque everything down in place, and then now the boom is going to slide over here, and then the frame is going to set down on this next piece, and then it's going to slide over and get transferred over to the next station. So right now they're about to set this thing down, as you're going to see it, and then it's going to move over. All right, we've had a successful line move, guys. These guys have got the big electronic torque wrenches on the front. They're torquing the front axle. So these things do 2 different levels of torque. They go front to back, and they do like a degree turn where it's like 80 or 90 degree turn, and they tighten those things up. So once the front axle's done, they'll go to the rear, but you can see them going front to back a couple times over again on both sides. And just like that, they're going to move back here to the rear axle, change the style drivers, and when they go back in that slot, they automatically change the torque that this box has on output, and it's going to go right here to these rear U-bolts and engage. So now that we've got all of our U-bolts torqued down, we've got the grease gun in here and greasing everything up on the chassis. I think there's not a whole lot of grease zerks. They might be greasing the U-joint there. Yep. Big old drum right there pumping grease out of it. So that goes up and into the ceiling, and wow, that is something really cool. That's a heck of a tool there. So it's pressing down. Wow. So that's really neat. So this thing's all greased up. Everything's torqued down. It's going to move down to the next line, get picked up. It's going to come off of these hangers and get set down on a robot and move over to the next station. Things are happening really fast, guys. I'm like still starstruck and mind blown by everything that's happening right here. The last video where we shown the chassis, like at the first half, you guys didn't check that out. It's going to be linked down in the description below and towards the end of the video. Make sure you go check that out so you can see where we started life with this truck before it became whole at the end of the video. Fingers crossed. And wow, I mean, just the amount of detail that goes into these trucks to make sure everything is done, I mean, perfectly. Every hose is not rubbing against something. Every fitting is double checked. I mean, the quality control is like through the roof to make sure everything is done perfectly on these trucks. And it's super, super impressive, to say the least. So moving along to the next assembly line station. All right, folks, the time has finally come. Our chassis is airborne. It's ready to take flight. But for now, it is up, hanging from the overhead crane, and it's going to be slid over to the robots that are on the floor. This is going to go over and then be set down on that and continue. We're only 2 spots away from setting that Big Daddy 770 horsepower V8 down inside this chassis. I'm super pumped. So in just a moment, this thing's going to drop down and land on those 2 floor robots. That's going to continue down the assembly line. So down she goes. They're going to line this front axle up with the front pivot area, and then they're going to line that rear. So this is the master and this is the slave robot. So this one is the one that drives, and once that axle sets down into that group, it's going to kind of just drag that one along behind it. And there it is. This front axle is finally sitting on its own weight here now. As they let it completely down, you'll see that airbag is starting to collapse, and everything's starting to fall into place on the front axle of this thing. So we're waiting on our chassis to continue moving, but we found our engine right here on the transfer line, and this is where it comes and joins into the assembly line here, and it's going to go up in the ceiling and then make its way over and fall right down to the frame, and that's what's going to happen next. There it goes, guys. Our 770 engine is moving down the line, and once that other chassis right over there in the distance moves, that engine will continue down the line and fall right into our chassis. It's going to happen momentarily. We've got a GoPro up there, and I get the awesome shot pointing down and seeing this thing fall right down into the chassis, so it's going to be sick. Here we go, guys. Our 770 V8 is traveling to its final resting... Oh, here we go. Maybe. There we go. To its final resting home. This thing's about to drop down in here. Hopefully this GoPro is getting some good footage from up top there. Oh, maybe. Yes. No. Maybe. Here we go. Okay. We're moving again. Oh. Okay. We're moving again. This thing's about to drop down in the chassis there and find its final resting place. This is really, really cool. Look at this. Look at this. Well, guys, I've run into some technical difficulties. The microphones have decided to quit working, so it's going to be a little louder for the rest of the video. Hope you all can understand and deal with that, but our chassis is moving on to the next stage. Lots of heat shields have been added to the sides of the truck here. The intercooling, the cooling pack system's about to get installed, but this thing's coming together way fast now. We have the silencer, as they call it, which is the DPF system going on. Also in the next stage, we have the cab suspension, part of the cab suspension and locks installed now also. So as you can see, the air lines are installed here. Now, we will have to make changes to this style air connection for the US, but that's not a problem. It's all pre-installed. We did opt for a 12-volt trailer wiring, so that is something that's going to adapt really well. Transmission, dry shafts, all of that good stuff is installed. There's still a few small finishing touches to be done on this thing, but you know, for now it's on the right path. There's a trailer brake wires, which he's probably going to get ready to hang up here somewhere. I'm not 100% sure. Lots of cooling pipes up here in the front, and they're getting ready to set the radiator, which is right up here, and that's going to be sliding right in here next. Cab mounts, there was a tool they just had where they aligned all the mounts, getting everything prepped and ready to go and slid out of the way so that radiator can go right in the front. I think that's what's about to happen right here, is that radiator is going to slide right here and go right into its home. And I'm not sure what that is. Looks like some kind of a pump system. I don't know. Hopefully it's not too loud. Like I said, guys, microphones decided to stop working. So this machine that we were just talking about is where they're filling now the power steering system. And I believe the way it works, it pulls a vacuum on it and then fills it back up. So it basically has all the air removed, and then it creates, there's no bubbles or anything going on inside there. And this other one is for the engine, which will get filled next, I'm assuming through right here afterwards. There's all kinds of stuff going on right now. It's so hard to like catch everything that's happening. And then comes our cooling pack right here, and it's going to sit, they got some alignment bolts, it looks like, right there. And as they're aligning it, they've sprayed some soapy water on here on the connections to make everything slide together properly. Oh, lots of things connect. So you've got intercooler pipes, radiator pipes. So cooling hoses right here on the top, and I believe there's some on the bottom. All kinds of other pipes up top here that then go to the cab in different places. And all while this is going installed, the platform is non-stop. So these platforms keep moving completely down this line here and onto where the cabs get set. So while all this is happening, it's all continuing to move. So looks like the power steering system is full now. I'm kind of curious as to what next. So now they've installed this rolling platform that engages with the front of the robot underneath here, so they can stand on it and have all the zip ties to use while getting up here and connecting and trimming everything so they don't get run over. There are different style zip ties too. So these are like a heat zip tie. High temperature, so the gray are high temp, black are standard temperature. So these style zip ties right here are going to be getting installed in different places where there's higher temperatures. Like you see right here where this one's installed because of near the exhaust manifold. And you'll kind of see that everywhere on the truck. And I'm just now noticing that as they pointed that out to me. So as the line continues, up next is the DPF systems, or as they call it, the silencer. I think I already mentioned that. So I'm going to show you guys the silencer. This thing is massive. So here it is. This is going to bolt right on the side of the frame. And these things are designed to just like set right in place so they can be taken on and off and removed pretty easily, because it's just one whole assembly with all the computers and data all in one unit here. And we have the exhaust where it comes out and routes right back out the side right there, as you can see. So I think that looks really cool, that oval style exhaust that's going on. So this big unit here, this is for the V8 770, and then this is for the super engine, 6-cylinder, and then that one's for the 5-cylinder, smaller. So all kinds of silencers right here going in trucks installed down the line. All right, here comes our silencer box. And like I said, guys, it's got a quick detach system. So this thing is going to go right in there and super duper easy to attach. It's going to be really nice. So it can be removed as a complete system without anything crazy. It's actually really neat. So you're going to see this thing set right in here. Just so carefully like that. And it's just down on these points, and then they're going to tighten these up right here in the top, and they can level it front to back. So, and there it is. Now that it's mated, they've got the exhaust pipe up there in the front where it needs to go. They're going to tighten that down up there. And what's really neat is these electric ratchets and all these guns they use, most of them have torque built right into them, so that when it tightens it down, it's tightened perfectly. So, and keep in mind, everything is still moving right now. The floor is on fire. It's walking, it's moving. So I was wrong. I'll be the first to admit, now we have the special torque wrench. And that thing will put the torque on it in their final resting place. So there he goes right there. It does the thing. We've got some cooling hoses and that have coolant running through them, where the SCR plugs in for the injecting the AdBlue there on the front. And he's going to put everything into its own home, and then going to reroute everything up behind the frame there. And you can see how one runs across the front and pops out the back here. Oh, they both do. I'm learning. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm learning. And they've got the inlet clamp and pipe tightening onto it right now there in the front. So on this side, we missed the battery box being installed. And it's crazy, from the factory, these are AGM batteries, so no acid in there. Pretty cool. Well, different type of acid, but no water in these batteries. Just the wiring is so organized and perfectly. That's why it's like so hard to disregard these trucks or discredit them, because they're not made in America. It's just the amount of engineering. All the battery harnesses are just perfectly made exactly for the trucks. Crazy. This thing is getting filled up with everything. Next, we've got some monster fuel tanks we've got going in here because we wanted to have plenty of fuel capacity while traveling everywhere in the USA. Checking back over to this side where the silencer is, we've got everything plugged into it, wires routed. So we're back with the gray zip ties that are high temp zip ties. So if we have one more wire to run somewhere maybe, or maybe that plugs into a light, I'm not sure, but big heat shield up here on the top. That looks nice. That's about the closest thing to chrome we're gonna see on this truck right there. Moving on to the front, the air box. You guys are probably wondering about that. The air intake is right here, it comes down. And they've got lots of like soapy solution to help slide everything together, but eventually that soap dries up and kind of becomes like a glue almost. So air filters inside here. I'm kind of curious as to how you service these. I guess you pull these bolts off right here to get the air filter out, and this is going to connect with the intake on the cab eventually. So silencer completely installed. Moving down the line, all the lights are green. Looking good so far. Something else I forgot we were putting on the truck when we spec'd it was this thing has a electronic air conditioning system, so that when the truck is not running, you can turn that on and it will keep the truck cool. So while you're sleeping and things like that at night, that AC compressor system there will keep everything cool. So that's what this technician is currently connecting right now. So batteries are all in place. We're prepping to get the DEF tank installed. That kind of hides up underneath the frame behind the fuel tank. So that'll be coming here next shortly. All right, so a couple things have just happened. The front driver's side step just got placed. There's lots of things to hook up to that, but factory matched paint, that's gonna look sick. And then right now, the DEF tank is about to go right inside that frame in just a moment. Once the frame keeps moving forward, this tank is gonna slide right in there and get connected to everything else. Wow, we're doing like a full step-by-step build on this truck. You guys should be watching this and not skipping around anywhere. So what's really neat about everything is like there's no heavy lifting. Pretty much everything has a tool to set it all in place. There's someone to help connect everything perfectly. I guess that's just how an assembly line works, because I've never been around one like this. So they got some spacers there, but hidden DEF tank from the factory. It hides up underneath. That's really, really neat, I think. Was not expecting that. So with some final connections being made right here on the DEF system, where they're putting the permanent clamp on these things to where they are not coming loose ever again. We're gonna check around to the front of the truck. There's more things happening at the front. Those hoses will be secured. We've got a driver or passenger side step on the front now. It's turned out nice. We're so close to getting a cab put on this thing. All right, so one of the next steps is putting the fifth wheel on. We have Alexander here, which you've been messaging me on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly.
Really cool. So this is a real deal, man.
Yeah, really heavy.
Yeah.
And big crane for it.
Yep. So how long have you been working at Scania?
I've been working here for almost 2 years.
Okay.
And I enjoy it quite a lot, actually.
Yeah.
I have great colleagues, and yeah.
You like, I mean, I know for most people here, it's just a job building trucks and
Yeah,
all. But I mean, do you like seeing what they look like when they're finished?
Yeah, I like seeing how they're finished, and I'm also into like vehicles in general, so like planes, trains, cars.
Same, yeah. Sorry for the beeping. We've got
Someone needs help.
Someone needs help. So, but yeah, this is the fifth wheel. It's it. Now, how do you pronounce it? Is it Jost or Just?
I think it's pronounced Jost, but in Swedes we say Jost.
Jost, yeah. So I hear it pronounced in so many different ways. So really, really cool. So we're not putting bolts in every spot, just every other few spaces. Yeah. Okay. So we do have a quick connect fifth wheel. This is something that will work with all the American trailers. Very, very similar. So we actually put Jost fifth wheels in the USA also.
Oh.
So nothing too new. All right. Well, this is going on in a couple of minutes if everything goes to plan, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Here she comes, guys. This thing has to be a few more inches forward to one of these blue dots here, and then they can move the fifth wheel over here into place, and that's what's about to happen with Alexander. I hope I didn't just butcher his name. I'm so bad at remembering names, especially over here when I just met someone. So here it comes. Fifth wheel coming into its home. This is exciting. Yes, sir. Here it is. Yes, brother. Check that out. Boom. I love it when a plan comes together. There you go. So they've all fallen into place. Now, of course, we can adjust this thing front to back if we need to adjust it back, which we may have to in the future, but for now, right there where it's at, it's fine. This thing has the automatic slider, which we have some wires here that have to be hooked up that I think notify you when it's locked or unlocked. We have an airline right here that will get hooked up next also. On the front, we have our front bumper bar coming into place here. This actually has a true bumper back there, really cool. We have a part of the front fender there with a light that just got installed. And while these guys are tightening down this fifth wheel, you'll see there's a special tool that helps them go right under here, and it's gonna torque these bolts down. So right here is the special torque wrench I was just telling you guys about. So this thing goes on the bottom of each bolt, and it has an alignment wrench right there that tightens that nut up right there on the bottom. And they do that to both sides, but they couldn't do this one because right there where the shock is at, so. Check that out. It's nice to have all the perfect tools for the job. Here it is, guys. The time has finally come. Everyone's on their coffee break, but there's our brand new, what they call the CR23 2.3 meter cab you guys seen in yesterday's video. If you haven't seen the video, go check it out. But they've done a few things. Color matched mirrors, the front visor's on. Oh, it looks so nice. Oh my goodness. This thing is the next step to getting set down on the chassis. And just like that, coffee break is over. This thing is gonna go up into the ceiling, travel up and over, and then down to that big old thing right there. It's gonna grab it right inside the doors, carry it across and go onto the cab, and that's the next step. They're setting one down, and then we are next. All right, so I found my mics and got them working again. Well, I didn't find them, they just weren't working, but we've got mics now, so audio should be a lot quieter and more focused on me blabbing, but we've got some rear fenders installed, and they've got everything almost completely buttoned up and getting ready to set this cab structure down on here. And I don't know if I pointed this out in yesterday's video or not, but this is the hydraulic ram that is installed. I never did see where the pump is. Maybe that's the pump right there for it? I guess maybe I would assume that. I'm not 100% sure, but this was an electric jack system, so you'll see the plug and everything that goes with it here shortly. But they're about to come finish setting that cab down, then they're going to go up and grab our cab in just a moment. So a lot of final touches in this assembly process are coming to an end. Well, it looks like that may be some kind of a module right there, has to do with maybe collision module or something, I'm not sure. So I missed it, but they got some fenders installed on this side of the truck here, painted to match. The louvers that are going to go up and over the top are going to be painted also. Check out that Scania mud flap. There's going to be one that comes right here onto the back. That's going to be really, really nice. But dang, it's so nice to see some plastic fenders compared to what we have on our Scanias back home that are look really bad because they're so old, but these are really, really nice. And the painted to match is something that is really awesome. There it is. They call this crane the Eagle because it soars through the air. They've got our cab picked up, and it picks it up by the door sills, but it's got all kinds of special stuff to keep the doors from hitting anything, and they're going to pull it right through. As everything's moving down the line, our cab will go up here in this big yellow area where you're not really supposed to walk too much unless the cab is in a safe position. So here it comes. Our cab is flying, soaring through the air. Oh man, this is awesome. Looks like it was a few things that they had for transporting it, but it's like they know the perfect balance point on this thing too, which is wild to me. Well, I mean, not wild. I mean, these guys do this stuff every day, but here it comes. Well, you guys have no idea how just awesome this is to see this all coming to fruition. Just like, it's all happening in real time, and it's so awesome. Here's the chassis right here. There's the cab. This is so cool. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is awesome. So awesome. Ooh, doggy. There it is. And now our chassis is going to roll right up underneath it and set this thing on it. So it looks like we have lots of, sorry, lots of preparation. They're putting some dielectric grease on different plugs and things like that and getting ready to set this thing down. These look like the forward cab mounts here that you can see where the sway bar and all that stuff we talked about in yesterday's video mounts. And I'm sure it's going to get to a certain point on the floor, and it's probably going to stop this one so they can set the cab down. This is awesome. This is so awesome. Oh my gosh. Look at this thing up in the air. And just like that, this thing is going down into its home. It really puts everything into perspective as it sets down in here. There's like alignment dowels on the front that help all the bolts line up. So this is really cool. And the crane, once this thing comes down, travels with the bottom down here. So I'm not sure if he like hits a button and puts it in sync, but the crane is moving with it. Pretty cool. So lots of things to hook up when they drop the cab down, to plug in up here. I'm not sure if all that's going to happen on this station, but it's all happening. And I think we've finally reached the point where he may be dropping the cab completely down, and then they're going to remove the crane system out of the inside, because it looks like it actually grabs it by the grab handles and picks it up, because I thought that it was grabbed by the upper part of the door seal, but it looks like it's grabbed by those handles. So I think this system's about to release the handles and come out of here. So that just goes to show you how strong those two grab handles are inside the cab there. There you have it. Our Eagle is releasing the cab. It is going to come right out of here. Oh, there's something else going on the front. I think I missed. Maybe that's a tool for tightening the cab down. I'm not quite sure. Let's see if we can catch it happening. Yes. Big, huge torque wrench tightening up the front cab bolts. So maybe you guys remember earlier in the video we talked about there being air tanks mounted right here, and there's an air line hidden down there where we've got the air tanks right here. They're going to sit in between these fenders, and I'm pretty sure they are ready to go on, and that is what's about to happen now. We've got some other fenders up here that are about to make its way down here, and they're going to be getting installed also. So one air tank installed. We've got the forward fender coming in here, and this was the AdBlue def fill, as we call it. The def tank is where the fill is going to be. So no def tank to be seen, just big fuel tanks are going to be sitting right inside here. So now up here in the front of the truck, lots of wiring happened. You remember talking about the platform earlier in the video where it was being used back there. Now we have a different platform. These guys are hooking up everything in the front of the truck. Main wiring harness that plugs everything into the cab is going in now. Everything has a perfect home. The ground wire is hooking up right there, it looks like. And this thing's focusing on my hand, but lots of wiring happening now. Back here on the back of the truck, we've got all the rear fenders pretty much installed. They still have to tighten up a few bolts. Air tank is there. Check out these rear taillights though. Tell me those don't look sick. Like, those are really cool. They still have to tighten them up, of course, but those taillights look sick. So again, things are starting to happen really fast. These guys are hooking up air to the truck now, and I think they're gonna go ahead and air the truck up and start looking for leaks. The nice lady over there has got the air tanks completely installed, and I think he's gonna activate the air if he didn't already. I don't hear any air happening, so I think it's about to start airing the system up. I gotta get me one of these, that's for dang sure, so I can use that with my Scanias because they have the same style fitting there. So looks like all the fenders are pretty much tight. Air tanks installed. All right, so I see the cab jack remote in the technician's hand there, so I'm only assuming that is what he's testing now. I didn't even see them bolt that up. They're just like lightning fast on everything. Oh, the cab is even aired up. Look at that. So there you go. They've got air in the system. The cab is aired up. I wonder if there's anything else aired up on the truck. So there it goes. The cab's picking up, probably bleeding the system out, if I had to guess. So the pump is on that side of the truck. I guessed wrong. So that must be what's happening. They're bleeding the system out, making sure everything is working. Look at that. Picking up out of the locks there. So being that this has the extended cab on it, they moved the airbags and the air ride system further back. So there's quite a bit of room in here. Exactly, I don't remember exactly how much, but quite a bit in here. About 1.5 feet of space has been added. Usually this right here would be up against the engine. So electric cab jack, man, that is really nice compared to what I have to deal with back home in the old 4 Series. So that's really cool. So I think next we have the upper fenders going on. And what I like about these is they have a quick remove system. So it's just a matter of like 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts, and boom, those upper fenders come right out of there. And it's the same on both sides. So big difference. I see lots of improvements on these trucks compared to the 4 Series I've got with like the fender mounting, all these different things. I'm gonna compare this truck when we get it back to the US. And so you can see all the things that have changed in the last 25 years to be exact. So that's really cool. So right now, guys, production is paused for a few moments because there's some issues down the line they're having to fix really quick. It happens on assembly lines. It happens. So I did find our fender lids right here, all painted blue. It's pretty easy to find parts for this truck because it's not too often you get everything painted one color to match. Because this is a really decked out high selection. Like, we checked all the boxes on this truck. So painted fender lids. I think our headlights are sitting right over here on the other side. Let's go check those out. So right here we found the headlights, guys. Look at those. These are all LED, like super next level. It's got some daytime running light stuff, but those are also painted blue trim right there. Looks really, really sick. More parts found down the line here. We have lots and lots of fuel tanks right here. And I was curious how they move these things, and they have these suction cup tools we're going to get to see in action. Hopefully in today's video, if not in tomorrow's, where they come around here and suck these fuel tanks up and they put them on the chassis. But these are, man, this metallic is really going to pop once this thing gets out in the sun. But just really, really nice stuff. Oh, I like that. It's like the anti-siphons kind of stuff there. But this looks like a big fuel filter maybe right here. I'm not sure. Someone comment down below and tell me what that is. Is that a fuel filter assembly, a fuel cooler, something along those lines? Not sure, but we found the fuel tanks, and man, do they look nice. And it is nice, I must say. You can get these painted from the factory too. So right now they've got the truck hooked up.
My friend, smile.
Oh yeah, smile. Smile. So we've got the truck hooked up to all kinds of hoses right now. It's pretty obvious these are the AC charge lines. These are vacuuming everything down. Fully automated system, so I would assume that these are the vacuum hoses, and those are going to be the charge hoses you see right there. And they've got a vacuum system running on the cooling system. That's going to pull all of these hoses empty, pull all the air out of it. See how I did that dent there, and it sucked it inward. Well, my camera will focus. And you can see right there on the cooling hoses how they're being sucked in just like that. And once all the air is gone, when you go ahead and maybe hooks up a different one, it's gonna suck it all in there instantaneously and fill the system up. So really, really cool stuff. So you're not having to worry about purging anything or anything. So whenever that vacuum releases, it's just pulls, you like my sound effects, pulls all of the fluid in instantly. There it is. So once it reached the vacuum point, probably on the screen over there, it's now filling with all the coolant, and it's going to eventually purge right into here. Oh, you've seen those dents just suck out right there. And it's filling up the system completely full, everywhere front to back. So I'm sure maybe these AC lines, so maybe this is a backup systems. I don't know. I have no idea, but you see this thing filling the system up right there. Yeah. All right, we're disconnecting. Full of Freon. Look at that. Everything, that's so crazy. That's like manufacturing, I guess. So everything is full.
Look at that.
Ah, fancy. Our coolant looks to be getting finished. It's still filling up. You see some bubbles in the tank there. So this is a very, very special tool.
Yes.
Very special tool. There's the plug for our pressure sensor. There we go. Had to double check you. All right, we're almost full of fluids now. There we go. This thing is completely full of coolant. Now I can hit the button, and it's got an automated disconnect. That's so crazy. Yeah, definitely a vacuum setup. That's really cool. So this thing picks up and goes back down the road, cap going on. We're completely full of coolant. So we say, see you later. There it goes. Ah, yeah. All good.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. Oh, okay. Ah.
Sign off.
Yeah. Check. Good to go.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we have about 10 minutes left in the day. I'm not sure how much more we're going to get completed, but we're going to get a front bumper and hopefully maybe some headlights on this thing today. I'm crossing our fingers, and we're just running out of time, unfortunately. We have some fender tops going on. Oh, these look so nice. Oh my goodness. I never would have imagined just how nice these are. Maybe they'll let me do these because I actually know how to do these just a little bit. They're getting set on there. This truck is going to be 90% complete today. Oh, it's so exciting. Look at that. Man, do these look so nice. They've had to put the rubber latches on them still. Got a sticker on there. Look at that. This thing is turning out so nice. Just, oh my gosh. I cannot wait for you guys in the US to see this truck in person. Fuel tank brackets. Yes. All black. Very nice. Ah. Got a tool that starts them on there. Is that a Milwaukee? That's the first Milwaukee tool I've seen here today. Okay, fuel tank brackets going on. We got more fender tops going on. Front bumper, check. I think we're gonna get some headlights in just a moment. Well, guys, that's a wrap for this video. Unfortunately, the truck did not get out the door today. There was some really bad weather here at the factory that they usually don't see. Some lightning strikes and thunder and really bad rain. And it caused some of the electrical systems to go down for a few hours, and they had to get it fixed, and it was just a really bad day. Not something that normally occurs. Usually this truck enters the line and it's out the line on the same day, but just a lot of electrical problems throughout the day because of the weather. Not something that normally happens, like I said. So the team got everything up and running and back to production, and we got the truck right here. So it seems we're going to be back here on Monday to get everything completed. I've got some really big plans to meet up with some other Swedish trucking companies and go maybe ride in a truck this weekend and do some other really cool stuff. But the plan is to get this thing running and driving, take it out to the test track here, do all the tests and functions, and then fingers crossed we get it over to the demo center and we get to drive this truck and have my way with it and do all kinds of really cool stuff, because I'm not leaving Sweden until I'm behind the wheel of this truck driving it before it comes to the USA eventually. So I'll be answering lots of questions in the next few minutes on this video. So do not go anywhere, guys. Thank you all who have stayed here throughout the whole process, and hopefully you all have enjoyed seeing this truck get built to the point it's at. And Monday, like I said, we'll be completing it and probably dropping a video maybe Tuesday or Wednesday somewhere on the full completion of the truck. But as it sits, here it is, guys. The first NextGen Scania coming to the USA. I'll be explaining everything here shortly, so stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We got to pack out and get the heck out of this factory. Well, guys, I'm here at the head office. And look what's out front, a 770S. This is the truck I wish, hang on, put my sunglasses on here, just kidding. This is the truck I wish that we could have brought to the USA, and I guess it's about time I explained a lot of this to you. So I'm gonna do the best that I can without, I'm just gonna do the best I can here. So the reason we start at the beginning, so lots of questions asked. People asked why we didn't get a 770S, the top line is what it's called, high cab. Because when we do get the truck fully approved to come to the USA, we have certain limited routes and different things and places we can drive on US roads. And when we cannot drive it, or we don't have certain routes approved ahead of time, like say if I said, okay, well, tomorrow I want to take the truck to my friend's house or something. That's a bad example, but something just to say, we can put it on my trailer and take it there, from what I'm understanding. So if we would have put this truck on my RGN, the lowboy trailer I had back in the USA, it would have been about 1.5 feet too tall with all the air dropped out of it. But since we have the R cab, it will be right at 13 foot 6 inches, completely aired up on the ground and everything else. So, or on the trailer. So that's why we went with the lower cab. And on top of that, the next question I've been asked is why no digital dash? Simply because I think that the Americans miss the old school gauges on a lot of the newer trucks that are releasing now. Like everything in the USA is going to digital dashes, and I figured, hey, this dash is still available. I think it'd be really cool to showcase that and the capabilities that the truck had with the older style dash. And I just like seeing needles move, to be completely honest with you guys. The next line of business, so that kind of answers the questions on the truck. Obviously you guys are seeing that it's a 6x4 chassis. I went into the biggest engine. I just wanted to showcase everything on the truck, and when you see the interior, you'll completely understand why I made the decisions that I made with the team here at Scania specing the truck. Now on to the bigger news. Everyone's asking about the importing, all of this stuff. So I will not own the truck. In order to bring the truck into the country, it had to, we're still, like I said, this is still an ongoing process getting it fully approved. We know the guidelines we have to follow to get the approval done, but to get it fully approved, there's lots of things we have to follow. Manufacturer, the only way to bring the truck into the USA is a temporary import. It will be for at least 1 year, potentially up to 3 years, pending further approval from the National Traffic Highway Safety Bureau Administration. NHTSA, National Highway Traffic Bureau Administration, something along those lines. And with the EPA, we're having to get special tags put on the truck from the manufacturer here, and letters saying that the truck is safe and it meets or exceeds USA standards, even though it's temporary import. So lots of paperwork, lots of attorneys to make this stuff happen. And the truck has to come in as a manufacturer-owned truck for testing purposes and media purposes. So like I said, I will not own the truck. I do not own the truck. It's being lent to me as I wouldn't say being lent to me either. That's not a good term. Let's not say that. I'm being made an agent of the company. So we have some paperwork we're working out. I'll be an agent of Scania representing the company in the USA with the truck that I'll be taking to shows and doing some testing, because I want to do real world testing where we're testing fuel mileage, putting on the dyno, doing horsepower testing, long distance traveling, because we really want to see what kind of fuel mileage this truck will see at 70 miles per hour, because let's be real, that's the realistic speeds this truck will be driving in the USA, potentially one day. You never know. Is the truck available for sale? Are we Scania selling trucks in the USA right now? No. Big no right now, guys. In the future, who knows what the future holds? This is just a really cool thing that I brought to Scania's attention, said, hey, we are making some really cool videos in the USA, getting lots of views. I think it would be really cool to show the American culture, market, everyone in America, just how nice these trucks are and the quality. So hopefully that answers all the questions. Hopefully I didn't say anything wrong, because we have all kinds of people watching these videos. And fingers crossed, this truck will be rolling off the assembly line Monday, and we'll be driving it. I'll be driving it. I'm super pumped to see this truck complete. And I want to hear everyone's input. You know, I'm reading like the fiber. Ooh, look at this. Pause 1 second. Check that out. Oh, doggy. Man, I like those decals. Those look really nice. Wow. Such a nice truck. So anyhow, I love seeing everyone's comments the last couple videos here in Scania. I know it's been hard to like get a good thumbnail up. The views could be better. So if you guys see this video, go click on the next video, the last video I posted where we started building the truck. And I think it has a lot to do with the thumbnail. It's kind of hard to see what's going on in the photo because we're in the factory and it was just a chassis at the time. But go watch that video. There's like 600 comments on already. It's doing really good. Everyone's really interested in what's going on. So I hope I answered everyone's questions. We're right here at the headquarters in Scania. Let's go find Matthias. He's in his office doing something. Yeah, let's go find him.